Teaching 44. 1. I lovingly receive the prodigal son who was absent for a long time and who comes today in search of peace and comfort for his heart. Some of my children approach me searching for their inheritance. Others are still very distant. But the Spirit in each of my children is attentively awaiting for my voice to say, "Here I am." 2. They have not forgotten my words from the second era. And though their physical body is fragile, their spirits are strong. They believe and trust in my promise to return as the comforting Spirit. 3. You who hear me today, remember the darkness which you have gone through and the ordeals which you encountered along your path in order to reach me. You find yourselves at the river bank under the shade of a tree, hearing this voice which you awaited so long. But with all the light you possess, you still have not reached the top of the mountain. Neither are you at the peak of perfection. You have simply come before your Master, who comes in spirit. And on hearing me, you were converted into students and later into disciples of my new teaching. You will become strong learning from me. And though you may be poor on earth, you will possess all the riches of the Spirit. 4. The glory of my word will soon spread beyond your nation. Men of science and those who study the Holy Scriptures will arise denying my manifestation. But I will offer signs and perform miracles through my chosen ones, and this will deeply move humanity. Men of elevated spirits, who are prophets of my Marian Trinitarian spiritualist doctrine, are found scattered in all nations. I have given them a sword of light to combat every false theory and doctrine so that only those which are based on love and truth will endure. 5. I have sent virtuous spirits to earth in all times who will teach you and with their deeds offer you an example of how you must live in order to come to me. Counselors, ministers of my law, legislators, and guides have pointed out your duties. They have told you that your mission is not reduced to only loving your families, but that you should love and help all of your brethren. They have also taught you that after these ordeals in life, the spiritual life awaits you, where you will reap the fruits of what you sowed on earth. 6. I have prepared spirits and had them incarnate after granting them wisdom and power. And when their bodies have developed, and they have found themselves with total use of their abilities, those spirits have manifested themselves great and strong. These are the men of science, the pastors, and those who govern. But few are those who have fulfilled their mission, who have developed their gifts and worked with deep faith. Some have become vain or misused their gifts and have not nourished the spirits of men. They have not known how to guide or calm the pain of their brothers. 7. For that reason, on perceiving that my flock is lost without a guide on the earth, I have come like the Good Shepherd to give you my pure and unstained doctrine. I have also given you the laws of my teaching so that you might live in peace and obey my law, ascending along the path of your spiritual evolution by following the example which I gave you with my deeds of love. 8. Where are the successors of my humble apostles who were sacrificed by the wickedness of men? What benefits has science offered humanity? Many claim to be wise, but neither love nor teach love. Wisdom means light, and light is love and understanding of divine and human laws. 9. I became man in the second era because of my love for humanity. That physical body was the work of my spirit. And how much have men of science commented about this mystery which belongs to my innermost judgment? Truly I say to you that divine deeds cannot be judged through human science. 10. The Spirit which inspired Jesus was my very own, that of your God, who became man to dwell among you and allowed himself to be seen because it was necessary that it be so. As man, I felt all human suffering. Men of science who had studied nature came to me and found that they knew nothing of my teaching. The great and small, the virtuous and sinners, the innocent and guilty received the essence of my word, and I made them all worthy of my presence. And while many were called, few were the chosen, and even fewer were close to me. 11. I defended the sinners. Do you not recall the adulteress? When she was brought to me, persecuted and condemned by the multitudes, the Pharisees came and asked me, "What should we do with her?" The priests hoped that I would say, "Bring her to justice," in order that they might later say, "How could you teach love and permit the sinner to be punished?" And had I said, "Let her go," they would have answered, "In the laws of Moses, which you claim to be confirming, there is a mandate which says, 'Every woman who is found to be an adulteress shall be stoned to death.'" Observing their intentions, I did not answer their words, and leaning over, I wrote in the dust of the earth the sins of those who were judging her. Again they asked me what they should do with that woman, and I answered them, "Let anyone who is free of sin throw the first stone." Then recognizing their errors, they left, covering their faces. No one was pure, and sensing that I saw into the depths of their hearts, they no longer accused that woman, for all of them had sinned. The woman, along with others who had also committed adultery, repented and did not sin again. I say to you that it is easier to convert a sinner through love than through harshness. 12. My teaching is engraved in your conscience and cannot be erased because its essence is immortal like the spirit which you possess. 13. You who now hear me, learn my teachings and teach those who live in other nations. Remind them of my words from the second time, while they are waiting to receive my message from this third era. 14. I want you to bring my word to other lands before their inhabitants arise, speaking of my new manifestation. When you meet them, do not reject one another, but offer testimony of me and allow them to confirm my words and deeds, fulfilling my mandate which says, "Love one another." 15. I have brought you these lessons in order to teach you and to free you from sin. If your faults are great, greater yet is my forgiveness. Live, experience, and know my law on this path of trials and ordeals. And when you allow yourselves to be guided by your conscience, you will not violate my law or the laws of the world. And when you sin, you will know how to repent, thus purifying your error. And when you reach the end of the journey, there will be no pain nor remorse. You will be at peace. 16. In this third era, the Master's book opens once again before his disciples to teach them the lessons of the true life. While the material body becomes silent and withdraws, the spirit elevates itself to rejoice with my word. It comes to my table to be nourished with the only bread which gives it life. 17. Everyone who knows how to elevate his spirit in these moments is directly nourished from the divine fountain. That individual no longer perceives the spokesman who is transmitting my word. You recognize that from the moment in which you heard me, your mind became enlightened. It is the light of my wisdom which begins to illuminate your path. Though I say to you that those who hear me and do not analyze my teaching still walk in darkness, their spirits still lack enlightenment. 18. It is my will to mark 12,000 children from each tribe. But truly I say to you that not only those who are marked will possess my light. Anyone who follows my teaching shall be called a child of the light. 19. Do not preach that you are my disciples. Show it with your deeds of charity. I test the one who proclaims to be my disciple by hiding myself in the heart of his enemy. However, instead of forgiving his enemy, he has struck back. Yet that blow has reached my face more than the cheek of his brother. In that instant I have spoken to him through his conscience, and that individual who became vain from being my disciple has said to me in weak repentance, "Forgive me, Master." Believing himself pure and worthy of my forgiveness, he resumes his journey. Then I see a young woman approach him whose heart and youth were like a fragrant rose. She says to him, "I come to you full of confidence in your virtue to ask you for advice which will help to protect me against the dangers of life." But forgetting his mission and mighty chains, he allows himself to be dominated by lower passions and develops impure intentions toward the young woman. At that moment I present myself before the unvirtuous disciple, asking him, "Could this be what I have taught you?" Surprised, he answers, "Lord, there is nothing that you do not know." Ashamed, he proceeds with his journey, while my unyielding voice asks him each time he brags of following my example, "Are you my apostle?" Then I allow hunger to surprise him and soon hide myself in the heart of a sickly rich man, who, in spite of having his treasure chest filled with gold, does not have the health to enjoy it. This ill man, upon knowing that one of my disciples is in the region, seeks him and then says to him, "I know you can restore my health, and that is why I have sought you. I am rich, but all of my wealth has not been of any use to me in finding a remedy for my illness." The apostle's heart becomes confused on hearing that confession, and he tells that ill individual, "I am going to rest my hand on your head, and, pronouncing the name of my Lord, I will restore your health. But you must reward me generously." The sickly rich man responds, "Take my riches, my treasure chests, my house. Take all of it, but heal me." The sick man is healed because his faith and his pain were so great that the divine master pitied him. Filled with joy, the sick man delivers all that he possesses to the hands of the one whom he believed had healed him, while the sinful apostle is saying to himself, "Now I have ceased to be poor, for if I have struggled and worked, I deserve to be rewarded." But at that very moment my unyielding voice speaks in his conscience, saying again to him, "Is that, perhaps, my teaching? Do you ever remember Jesus receiving payment for his love while he was in the world? The one who could have crowned himself and possessed all treasures, the one who healed by simply touching, and resurrected the dead by simply asking them to arise." 20. A battle occurs in the heart of that disciple, who asks his master, "Why are you so rigid with your disciples? Why do you not allow us to possess something in this world?" And the master, with a tender voice, answers, "Because at the moment you were chosen, you promised to reject human vanities in exchange for a true treasure." 21. Still the disciple replies, "The path is difficult and the journey is very long. We work so much and we gather so little harvest on the earth. Do you want us to love humanity so much when it does not love us?" The master, hearing him disrespectfully speak in that manner, says, "All right, my young child, follow the path according to your own will. Do whatever you desire." And that man, claiming to be my servant, professing to be my apostle, and ignoring the voice of his conscience, proceeds along different paths. Finding multitudes of the sick along the paths, he calls to them and tells them that he possesses healing balsam which cures all illnesses. But he also tells them, "I am needy. What can you give me in exchange for what I grant you?" Those who are poor tell him that they have nothing, but that they are willing to work to earn money to pay him so that he may heal their illnesses. That agreement satisfies the man, who begins to anoint those who are ill and, at the same time, begins to ask for more and more money. He anoints the sick, but they do not heal. On the contrary, they become worse. He attempts to encourage them, but they become more and more discouraged. Then the apostle, observing that the multitudes have lost confidence in him, quietly disappears from among them, taking with him his wealth and leaving them in agony. 22. Once far from them, he goes toward a rich man's mansion, saying to him, "Sir, I am able to serve you. I know how to work. I want you to employ me in your royal mansion. I can comfort you when you are sad. I can manage your interests when you are tired." "Who are you?" asks the rich man. To which the apostle replies, "I am the possessor of a law, of a doctrine so powerful and persuasive, that if your servants ever come to rebel before you, I only need to speak to them to make them to obey." 23. The rich man becomes impressed with those words. He believes in that man and tells him, "Your words reveal greatness, and if you fulfill them as you say, I will consider them always as truth." Then the rich man offers that man shelter and the keys to his palace. The man conquers the heart of the rich man with flattery, But since he rejects the divine master and no longer listens to the voice of his conscience, he soon causes a change in the life of that mansion. He humiliates the small and praises those who flatter him. He causes the best servants to leave the house behind the owner's back. He squanders his wealth with extravagant living. But the day comes when the Lord of that mansion opens his eyes to reality. Convinced of the falsehood of the one in whom he has placed all of his confidence, when he heard him pronounce words of great power and wisdom, he calls him to ask him angrily, "Is this the teaching you sow? Is this the way you demonstrate the power you claim to have?" Instantly, he has him led to a dungeon in order to later sentence him to the scaffold for execution. There, in prison, he cannot believe that a disciple of the divine master would be captivity, and even less that he would be sentenced to die. He cannot believe that those trials are the awakening voice calling him to repentance in order to return him to the path. Then he pleads with the rich lord whom he has betrayed, promising him not to speak to nor to betray anyone again. Convinced, the rich man allows him to leave. 24. Once free, that man feels the desire to know new roads, and finding them, he takes them. Again he ignores the voice of his conscience and devotes himself as never before to pleasures where his lips are poisoned, his body becomes ill, and his heart experiences great misery. Step by step he has slowly descended, to finally fall exhausted to the bottom of the abyss. He does not know how long he has remained there, but when he awakens, he asks, "Where am I? Where is my inheritance?" I speak to the Father, and he does not answer me. I am sick and discouraged, and he does not come to help me. I ask him for a word of comfort and encouragement, and he does not come to my heart. Where is that teaching and that healing balsam which he gave me and with which I could alleviate so much grief? I want to close my wounds and they bleed even more. I want to give my heart peace, yet it becomes more and more restless. Who am I? Were those gifts that the Father gave me only a lie? That individual then began to greatly weep. 25. People in various conditions reacted with indifference as they saw him weep. No one noticed him, listened to him, nor felt his pain. It appeared as if he were surrounded by great darkness. And when he could no longer tolerate such pain, and felt that his spirit was about to leave his filthy body, he heard a sweet voice which he recognized, and which said to him, "Here I am. I have descended to the abyss, where you have fallen, to give you my help." The man, on hearing the sweet voice of this Father filled with forgiveness and tenderness, felt great remorse and says to his Lord, "Do not approach me or enter this abyss, for it is filled with darkness and perversion. Do not let your garments be shredded by the thorns that are here. Leave me here, since I condemned myself to this place." 26. The child weeps, and, as he was weeping, he realized that his father was truly just. The father did not observe the impurities in his son nor the sins and darkness surrounding him. He only perceives his beloved child whom he asks, "Why have you descended this far?" And the son answers, "Because I believed that you would not be this close to me, nor did I want to believe that the voice of my conscience was yours. Do not heal me today. I understand that I do not deserve to be healed. Do not forgive me. I do not deserve your forgiveness. Let me suffer in this abyss. Let me cleanse my faults." The father, observing that the son has understood at last the magnitude of his errors, does not allow him to suffer any longer and permits light to shine in that being, and those tears to wash away his stains. The father then kisses the forehead of that weary child. He lifts the child's weak body and embraces him with infinite love. 27. Feeling the tenderness of his father, that child decides to follow and love him forever. He observes that once again the light which the Lord had placed on his head is shining. For the gifts which God grants, he never takes away from his children. However, they will lose their divine grace if one disobeys my love. Thus, that is how the child arises once again to follow my path, but with greater enlightenment, which he has attained from his painful experience. Also, that child is now able to listen clearly to his conscience. 28. Who among those who have been receiving my lessons daily will wish to travel through paths of suffering? Be aware that you have already traveled through those paths. Your spirits have already undergone great ordeals, for which you can give thanks and firmly follow me today. 29. I have sent you to multiply your seed, and for that reason I have marked your forehead with my light, so that when you are spiritually prepared, you will spread yourselves throughout the paths where the multitudes await you. Homes will open their doors to welcome you, and many individuals will receive you joyfully. 30. Those who are ill will be waiting to become healed. 31. I, the divine Savior, will come to all human beings through my faithful disciples, but not as in the second era. Today, I will come among humanity hidden in the hearts of my messengers, speaking through their mouths, and inspiring those individuals. That is how I will come to all human beings. I will come to all individuals through the deeds of love and charity that my disciples practice for those that are sick, needy, and who thirst for peace for their spirit and material body. 32. Blessed are the nations which do not close their paths but open their doors to my messengers. For verily I say to you that those nations will be saved. 33. During this struggle, some will be summoned and chosen before others, but eventually all beings will be summoned and they will fulfill their mission among humanity. Some will begin and finish their mission sooner, whereas others will take longer to fulfill it. But in the end, when you attain spiritual perfection, all beings will be equal. The Father will love all beings in the same manner, and they will all form part of his perfect family. 34. Everyone was given the same gifts in their beginning. But while some have known how to elevate themselves and to become great by developing their virtues, some have remained stagnant and others have lost their way. 35. I have distributed equally great gifts among all my children. For that reason you must not judge that some have been given more than others, nor that some have been assigned a greater task than others. In my perfect justice and wisdom, knowing the debts of my children, I have given to them according to their needs. 36. I give you these explanations in order that you be satisfied. For you know nothing about your destiny, your past, or your restitution. 37. If you consider my children, through whom I am communicating, to be very blessed and have even come to desire their gift, truly I say to you that their blessing is great, but so is the spiritual debt which they have with the Father, as well as their responsibility. 38. Let each one take his cross with love. But do not seek pleasures, honors, or reward, for you will only reap pain. 39. Remember that I healed you with my love, that I cleansed your stains and closed your wounds. Remember that I took the bitterness from your lips. I removed the stained and torn clothing that you wore in order to exchange it for another which was white as a snowflake. You were outcasts, but you have ceased to be so. You came without an inheritance. And today you know that you possess a gift. Do not seek pain or go back to being outcasts. Do not return to sin, but neither consider yourselves to be untouchable by the fact that you carry my divine mark. Instead, you need to be well prepared so that you will forgive those who offend you. 40. How often have you promised to forgive your brothers regardless of the offense which they have inflicted upon you? You have asked me for strength to be able to forgive, and I have given it to you. But how seldom have you fulfilled your promises? 41. I have divided those who have tried to practice forgiveness into 3 groups. The first one is formed by those who, having been offended and not knowing how to restrain themselves, and forgetting my teaching, have become confused and taken revenge, returning blow for blow. This group, a slave to its passions, is the one which is overcome by temptation. 42. The second group is the one formed by those who, once having been offended, Remember my example and close their lips containing their impulses in order to soon tell me, Lord, they have offended me. But rather than taking revenge, I have forgiven. But I, who penetrate the hearts, have discovered in them the desire for me to take revenge by pouring my justice over their brothers. This group is in total turmoil. 43. The third group, the smallest, is the one with those who, imitating Jesus when they have been offended, elevate themselves toward the Father filled with pity for their brothers to say to me, Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They have hurt me. But it is not me that they have hurt, but rather themselves. I ask for your charity for this reason, and that you allow me to return only kindness. This is the group which has triumphed. 44. Your conscience, which requests and expects perfect deeds from you, will not allow you to feel true peace until you know how to practice true forgiveness with your brothers. 45. Why would you hate those who offend you when they are simply steps for you to come to me? If you practice forgiveness, you will achieve merits, and when you enter the kingdom of heaven, you will see those on earth who helped you to evolve. Then you will ask the Father to also help those beings to be saved and come to the Lord. Your intercession will help them to attain that blessing. 46. Do not attempt to uncover the hidden feelings of your fellow beings, for in each being there are hidden secrets which only I should know. But if you discover a secret which pertains to your brother which you should keep confidential, do not publicize that information. Do not share that information with others, but rather keep it only to yourself. 47. Often I have observed man penetrating into the heart of his brother in order to discover his hidden secrets. He has rejoiced discovering those secrets and then has told others about them. No one who has ridiculed a fellow human beings in this manner should be surprised if later the same thing happens to him. He should not then say that it is the rod of justice which measures him, for it will be the rod of injustice with which he measured his brothers. 48. Respect others. Cover those whose secrets have been revealed with your mantle of charity, and defend those who are weak from the rumors of mankind. 49. Disciples, I do not prohibit you from studying those books which teach goodness. But if you are unable to find those books, you have my teaching, which is simple and humble and contains more wisdom than all the books on earth. Therefore, store this teaching in the deepest part of your heart. Analyze it, and allow it to guide you in each of your deeds. 50. Those who have come under the shadow of this tree weeping over their odious in life have found comfort and strength in my love. 51. Blessed is the one who listens with love to my word in this third era, for he will not be confused. At the moment of his death, his spirit will rise to eternal life and firmly penetrate the path which awaits him beyond this life. 52. Blessed is the one who patiently endures his sorrow, for he will find in his own meekness the strength to continue to carry his cross along his path of evolution. 53. Blessed is the one who humbly endures humiliation and knows how to forgive those who have offended him, for I will bring justice to him. But woe unto those who judge the deeds of their brothers, for they in turn will be judged. 54. Blessed is the one who, obeying the first mandate of my law, loves me above everything created. 55. Blessed is the one who allows me to judge his cause, whether it is just or unjust. 56. My doctrine comes to regenerate you, to strengthen your spirits, so that once you open your lips to repeat my teachings, they might be closed to cursing or speaking disrespectfully. 57. I have come in this era to once again water the seed which I deposited in your hearts in the second era. 58. From the first times I have sought the form in which to have myself be heard and understood by men. For that reason, I have sent prophets and virtuous individuals to this world so that with their deeds and words they might be messengers of my will and my mandates. 59. In the first era, through Abraham's obedience to my mandate, I made a pact of love with him, rewarding his faithfulness, his devotion and loyalty, and blessing and multiplying his descendants. To test his obedience and his faith, I asked him for the life of his son, Isaac, whom he greatly loved. And with a submission typical of great spirits, he was willing to sacrifice him. But I detained him because in his heart he had already shown his obedience, and that was sufficient for me. 60. Isaac was the father of Jacob, who was allowed to perceive the path of perfection that spirits need to travel. That path was symbolized by a ladder which originated on earth and ascended toward the heavens. Spirits descended and ascended along that ladder in the form of angels. 61. These three patriarchs formed the trunk of the people of Israel, from which sprouted 12 branches and an infinite number of leaves. But its fruit has not yet ripened. 62. The people of Israel received the law when in their pilgrimage they found themselves at the foot of Mount Sinai. Their guide, Moses, received the tablets and the inspiration. Their journey through the desert was designed to purify their hearts, to spiritualize them, and to develop their faith toward the invisible God. When the people arrived at the promised land and settled there, they had deep spiritual faith in their Lord. They practiced a simple but elevated worship which had strengthened their hearts. But behold that the children of their children did not know how to maintain that faith and spirituality. When the Gentile people introduced their idolatry and superstitions among the people of Israel, they divided them spiritually and materially. It was then that the prophets appeared, warning the multitudes and announcing my justice over them for their unfaithfulness and sin. But the prophets were ridiculed and some were killed. 63. I tell you this because truly you are the spiritual descendants from those first patriarchs, and you are the sheep of Moses. But I also say to you that you are among those who will attain spirituality in this period, and who will spiritually enlighten man, and give him the wisdom for a better life. 64. In the second era Christ irrigated the tree of life with his blood, and today he comes to offer you new water with his divine word so that all of his children will learn to be loving and charitable. 65. In this era I have come to fight all fanaticism and idolatry that exist in your hearts, for spirituality does not permit materialism. Whoever practices my spiritual doctrine with fanaticism is neither doing my will or correctly interpreting my teaching. 66. Why do men in this era worship me in a material manner? In the first era, and in the first commandment of my law, I prohibited man to create material images and forms in order to worship me. 67. My word in this era will fight like a two-edged sword to help man eliminate all of his errors and ignorance, thus allowing him to communicate from spirit to spirit. My peace be with you.